why am I doing this, and why am I bringing this into forefront again? And to be honest, it's my form of writing a memoir or autobiography. I did it so that I could have the full story about the relationship that I shared with Charles, as well as some background of my life.
Is this your way of showing I'm not just this mistress? Is that what it was? Wanting people to really know who you were?
The documentary was not to say I'm not a mistress alone. It was to say this is who I am, and you don't have to like me, but this is my side of the story. So
I guess it's another angle of this question. It's like for you personally, doing this whole documentary, what did you mean?
This documentary meant therapy for me. So I got more out of it than I ever imagined. I thought I was just going to explain my side of the story with my relationship with Charles, but it ended up being so much more. And I'm very proud of it.
Now, was this the first time seeing it for you, like in whole? Or?
It was not the first time I saw this documentary, and it surprises me that I still get emotional at certain points of the documentaries. No matter, I think I've seen it at least 200 times.
And this is probably pretty expensive, so how did you afford to pay for this?
I funded it all myself, and paid the crew, paid for the equipment, paid for the post-editing, and the money just came out of my savings account. I didn't apply for grants or get investors involved. I paid for it all on my own.
Have you been in contact with him at all recently? What's nice?
Yes. He called me 2 weeks ago and pretty much begged me to end all of the lawsuit battle between myself and Mark. And his reason is that he doesn't want to go on the record. He doesn't want to be deposed. He wants to be left alone. And I basically said that you involved yourself. You're the one paying his legal fees. Why are you calling me and telling me to let this all stop? You're paying his fees. If you stop paying his legal fees, then he can't defend himself. And he can just say, I can't afford, I'll just give her whatever she's asking for. And all I'm asking for from Mark is, in writing, the guarantee. I want to know who he's shown the film to, who he sold it to, how much money he's received from it, because he then has to turn that money over to me. So Charles and I got into an argument where he was trying to convince me to meet secretly without lawyers and try to come to some agreement. He kept asking, what do you want from me? What can I do to make this all go away? And I felt like he was trying to entrap me. So I just kept saying, I don't want anything from you. I just want you to leave me alone. You're involved in my life every single day. You're going on my website. I can tell that because we do an analytics report, and I can tell who's logging on to my websites. I'm throwing all of this out at him, like, get out of my life. You can't let me go. Just leave me alone. I said, what do you want? Is it that you're calling to try to get me to not release the book, to not release my documentary? And he said, no, you can release all that. I don't care about all that. I just want the lawyers to go away because I don't want to be deposed. I don't want to go on record. And I kept saying, you don't want to go on record because you have a lot to hide. You're out there threatening to expose a lot of dirt on me. You asked me to go to mediation in January, and you brought a group of goons in here to threaten me with, exposure. So do it. You guys have been threatening to sue me for a year and a half now. Would you just sue me? I'm going to sue Mark because he stole my footage, and you're definitely paying his legal fees. And so you need to stop. You need to just stop.
You had some people in the audience today, you felt like you had to defend yourself. So what do you say people might think, well, she went way overboard kind of thing doing this?
To me, it's not extreme. Again, to me, it was the best form of therapy for me at that time in my life in 2010. The relationship ending and how it ended no longer affects me. What's affecting me is the fact that this man is still in my life every single day, but now it's with threats. That just empowers me even more to just stand up for myself and not succumb to the pressure of his legal team.
Are you afraid of this whole legal stuff?
I am not afraid of Charles's legal threats. I actually welcome it because I want to go on the record. He went door to door telling people that I've extorted money from him, that I'm continuing to extort money, that I've done this documentary as a means of extorting money from him. I never went to him with this documentary. I never told him about the documentary. Mark took the documentary to Charles. Mark took the footage to Charles. I've never told him anything.
What about, I want to talk about in the film where you bring up the STDs and diseases and the condom thing. That's a lot to put out there. That's very personal in terms of him. Why did you decide to put that out there?
To me, it was a very big instance where he was able to talk himself out of something that was so blatantly obvious. It disgusted me because I was having unprotected sex with this man. To me, he was putting my life in jeopardy. He didn't care. He just cared about himself. He wasn't caring about my health or my life, or anyone else's. So if he didn't care to protect himself if he was going to have all of these sexual encounters, then why should I care about exposing him for having done it? Sorry, Charlie.
What about, let's talk again about the people who are afraid of showing the documentary. You know, what do you think about that?
I believe that those film festivals, they should learn the First Amendment. They need to learn the Bill of Rights. They need to understand that they're in an industry where, especially if you're a documentary film festival, you're probably exposing something. You're exposing a corporation or a government or a person. And there's going to be people who get pissed off or who don't want that information released because they're going to be embarrassed. They're not worthy of my film, and quite frankly, they're not worthy of anyone's film. And if anyone asks me, you know, whether or not they should enter their documentary into one of those two festivals, I'm going to say hell no. And I'm going to tell everyone to make sure that they enter into the Harlem International Film Festival.
What did you like about? What did you love about him? What drew you? Why did you stay with him? What were the good things?
He was extremely generous. He's the smartest person I've ever known. He would challenge me if I had a view that wasn't well researched or well thought out. And I'm the yin to every yang. So he was very loving, very protective. He loved my mom. He went out of his way to just do things for her. He loved everyone in my life who I loved. He wanted to be a part of everyone's life. He wanted, if I was going to rent a house on Bass Lake, he would say, oh, we got to invite the whole family. We got to invite this person, this person. So he was extremely inclusive. There wasn't a pretentious bone in his body. He is a wealthy person, but you would never know that. Just he wasn't flashy, and I appreciated that. He was very quiet, and I'm very not. I'm far more gregarious than he is, and so we just balanced each other out. He loves and adores Chaz, and that's one of the things that I appreciated most about him, because I grew up with a father who basically abandoned my brothers and I, and then had a stepfather who molested me. So the fact that he just adored everything about his son made me love him more.
In the film, you see that he took you to everything. Family functions, dinner with his son, Valentine's Day, Christmas. How did the family, I'm confused as to how family wasn't like, wait, he's married, who's this woman? Like, what did he tell them with that?
I don't know. He didn't spend Christmases with me because that was his time with Chaz, and so our rule was you have to spend every Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve with me, and our birthdays. So those holidays belong to us. Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve is when you can take Chaz to Atlanta, drop him off at your parents' house, and then Christmas Day or the day after Christmas, you fly back and you're with me and my family, and we do whatever we do. So we worked out the holidays, and I thought I was being the most understanding woman I had ever been in a relationship, because any other relationship I would have been like, oh hell no, you're spending time with me, but he was worth me compromising for, and I really thought that I was the understanding partner in his life. All I did was enable him to deceive me.
In terms of men and dating, you know, are you dating one? And if not, how, or if you are starting a relationship, how do you find Wilkins and whatever?
I have not started dating I haven't been ready to. I needed to first finish this documentary so that it could be out there, so that whoever comes into my life now, I don't have to sit there and explain what they found on Google, because these days everyone Googles you. I just wanted to have this out there so that if they want to know what my side of the story is or was, all they have to do is watch this thing. Every relationship that I've had has been better than the one before, and so I know that whoever comes into my life next is going to get a better YaVaughnie, and I'm just going to make sure, without holding them responsible for what Charles did, that I get what I need from the relationship.
In the beginning, trust will be maybe an issue at first?
I don't think it's trust. I think it's just what's right for me. I don't want to date someone who has to travel. I want someone who's there on Sunday morning to watch Meet the Press with me. I want someone who can sit on Tuesday and read the tech section of the New York Times with me and explain why Apple keeps coming out with a new freaking iPhone every 6 months. So I want a normal life. And so I don't think it has to do with trust as much as it does me just having different priorities.
This is interesting. Did he know all that stuff you say? Did he know you recorded all that stuff and that, or will this be when he's going to find out?
Oh no, he knows. There's a reason why I started recording things that I can't get into right now, but he knows that I've been recording it.
So it seemed like he got physical with you. Was that throughout throughout the 8.5 years?
I would say maybe in 8.5 years, he probably did it 6 or 7 times, where bruises were left on me.
Bringing out that, saying that he abused you physically in the 8.5 years, 6 or 7 times. Do you worry about his reaction, or any kind of reaction to that, or what people will?
Hell no. It happened to me. I have a right to say it. He can deny it. So if he actually goes on camera and says he's never left bruises on me, then we'll move to the next step.
Do you think he will try to see this film? And what do you think his reaction?
He has seen it. His lawyers told us he's seen it. And his reaction was, no one's going to want to see this thing. It's a piece of junk and it's not very well made. We don't care. We don't care, but we don't want her to release it. So she better accept this X number of millions of dollars. Otherwise, we are going to sue her at 9 a.m.
And what's your reaction to that?
I don't care. He's a non-factor. This documentary wasn't to get back at him. This documentary, as you saw, had much more than just Charles. And there would have been so much less of Charles had he not been following me for the past 2.5 years. It was over. It was just, okay, this is why the billboards went up, but now here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing to move forward. And then every time I move forward, he would pull me back. So.
And so he hasn't, knowing that this was premiering tonight, right?
Right.
Has he reached out since knowing that this?
He didn't know that we were accepted into these festivals until the press releases started going out Monday night. So I left Los Angeles Monday night to fly here for the festival. When I landed, I had all of these messages from my PR person saying, Charles Phillips' lawyers trying to stop the screenings. We asked Harlem International Film Festival to please don't pay attention to that letter. I'm the rightful owner of the documentary. Charles is a public figure. I have a First Amendment right that says I can tell my side of the story. The other 2 cities caved. They were so intimidated by the letter that they just said, we're a small organization and we can't have lawsuits. So I offered to indemnify them and to defend them. And that's hopefully what helped my good friends at the Harlem International Film Festival to say, we believe in your First Amendment right and we love your film. We were so excited to have you as part of our festival. If you're, if you can guarantee that, we're going to be okay, then we're going to be okay. We're going to help you be okay too. And I can't tell you how, it was the best news I've received in about 10 years, just to know that someone wasn't intimidated by this man's money or power.